to see everyone. Obviously wrapped up, the trade deadline. It was it was a very active day for the White Sox, and obviously throughout the league. I'm really proud of our group, how organized we were in the process. The process we were able to carry out throughout this whole trade deadline. The goal going into this window at the deadline was to acquire offensive players, to acquire bats, and to bring in 4 quality bats. With the resources that we had, it's something that I'm very proud of. We feel very good about the players that we acquired, I know that there were a lot of attention on players that remain with the Chicago White Sox, but overall, we feel really good the direction of the organization based on the trade deadline that just finished today.
Speaking of before we go into the ones you got, the players who remain with you, what was the interest in Garrett Crochet, and how do you view your relationship with the team and him pitching-wise moving forward now that he's here for the time being?
Yeah, Garrett has had strong interest from clubs for obvious reasons. He's become one of the top starting pitchers in our game, and his story kind of speaks for itself. His climb towards the top, being a starting pitcher. We were having discussions with clubs up until the last hour. Obviously, nothing came together. We didn't feel like it was the right move to move Garrett, although there was that strong interest. And now that he remains with the Chicago White Sox, I know that I talked yesterday about Garrett and with the comments that his team had put out there. We're going to work past that. He's a high character individual. He is a competitor. He wants to be the best that he can be, and I don't think anything is going to get in the way of him trying to accomplish that. So we are in good standing. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for Garrett and I to sit down and map out the remaining part of the year, just like we had been doing up until this point. With so much of his attention on maintaining his health for his long-term health and becoming the pitcher he wants to become.
Is his long-term future with this team, or are you guys going to revisit the idea of trading him in the offseason and in the future as well?
Tough to say. We're obviously we just closed the door on this trade deadline. We feel very good about the moves that we have made, and we've got a sizable chunk of the season here to get to the finish line, and we're going to figure out what's best for the White Sox once the season is over.
How confident are you that if you explore this in the offseason or later, that you can get the type of value that maybe was available at this deadline?
Yeah, I'm not concerned with the value. What Garrett has done, it was very, it's a bold statement what he's become this year, and the arms like that just don't come around, and the interest perhaps could be even stronger, being that it's the off season, and the urgency can change for a handful of clubs. So I anticipate the attention on Garrett and the interest in acquiring him is only going to go up. But with that being said, we're very happy that he remains here, and being able to watch him compete the remainder of the season.
What was the interest for Luis?
Luis, we got a lot of phone calls, a lot of interest. With teams certainly were open and willing to acquire. It just didn't make any sense for us to move Louis. You look at what he's capable of doing. Just the talent that he has, the amount of control that we have from a contract standpoint, and once again look forward to watching him play in a White Sox uniform. It was strong interest.
The asks were understandably high, I imagine, for to talk about play, much like Cease when you have to talk about
Yeah,
players.
yeah. I
that
mean, the bar is high when it comes to moving players like Louis Robert or Garrett Crochet or Dylan Cease. Very simply because they should be. They're very talented players, can help any team win a World Series.
What does it say about kind of the project that you've got going here, big picture wise, that the majority of the players you acquire at this deadline are teenagers?
Yeah, we weren't focusing on age. We were looking for players that we feel like have a chance to be impactful major league players. That can come at the major league level. That can come at the mid level of the minor leagues or lower minor leagues. You look at the Eric Fetty deal and bringing Miguel Vargas. He's gotten a taste of the big leagues already. He walked into our clubhouse today, and one of the more enjoyable moments of the day was watching Miguel Vargas and Louis Robert see each other for the first time and embrace each other. Very excited. I didn't know how much of a history that they had, but I know when they looked at each other, they it looked like there was a high level of admiration going both ways. And then in addition to get players that they're at A ball, but they're performing. They're middle infielders. They've got offensive potential, and then be able to acquire another bat today for Tanner Beggs, similar ages. They're all different stages of their development career, and looking forward to helping them and watching them grow towards the major leagues. But it was about talent acquisition. It didn't, regardless of what level they were there or what age they were.
How did the deal with the Orioles come together for Eloy, and were there other teams that you talked to about him?
I got a phone call from the Orioles this morning, and with interest with Eloy, and it looked like I could tell that there was sincere interest, and we felt like it was a good fit for Eloy. Give him an opportunity to go out there and get a chance at making the playoffs and making a run there. So it just lined up well and felt like it was the right fit for him.
How do you look at his career here with the White Sox? How do you look at his career with the White Sox?
Yeah, I mean, when we acquired him, and I was telling Eloy this today, I remember going down to Winston-Salem and watching him for the first time, and seeing pole to pole offensively, both home run and hit potential, and continue to climb up the minor leagues and get his opportunity in the big leagues. And he helped the White Sox. He really did. There's a lot to be proud of, not only for the organization but also for Eloy Jiménez. I know the injuries have affected him, and it hasn't allowed him to go out there and be the player that allowed him to be the player that perhaps many people thought he could become. But he's still young, and he's going to get a chance with the Baltimore Orioles, and he's going to get a chance to play at a high level. So, but he accomplished a lot in a White Sox uniform, and I think that there's a lot to be proud of.
Circling back to Crochet, I think Vinny asked you yesterday about keeping him longer term now that we're past the deadline. Because I think a lot of people are wondering, he's not 29, he's 25, it should line up with some timeline of yours. That idea of keeping him long term, is there going to be some serious exploration in that?
We'll have conversations. I mean, we're going to have time to be able to have dialogue, with Garrett and his agents, and if it lines up, it lines up. We listen. For what he's done so far as a kind of a new starting pitcher at the major league level is nothing short of phenomenal, and to be able to be part of his journey as he continues to mature as a pitcher and a person. I'd love to be a part of that, but there's got to be interest. It's got to make sense for both sides.
Did his demand or his people's demand impact interest in him at all, do you think, or can you say that?
It's tough to tell. I mentioned it yesterday. There were certainly a lot of questions, about the message that was put out there, how it truly affected his trade market. It's really tough to measure. conversations that I had about Garrett, prior, in the last couple of weeks or perhaps even earlier, was about how we planned on navigating the remainder of the season, and the communications that we had with Garrett and his agent, and mapping it out so everyone felt comfortable but still allowed him to go out there and do what he likes to do, and that's compete and take the ball. So it's tough to really get a clear answer on how things were affected, but we're still very excited to have Garrett Crochet. Certainly, no, we're not disappointed at all, and we'll revisit conversations about him being with the White Sox, but if we need to have conversations about improving the long-term health of the organization, we'll do the same. We'll explore that as well.
It seemed from the outside that there was a pretty lengthy list of guys who might have been candidates to be moved at the deadline here, guys whose contracts are up at the end of the season. Were you expecting there to be maybe more movement from your guys' side?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, we were prepared for activity on a long list of players. Usually teams reach out in advance of just a couple days to the deadline, just to express interest, so you have a pretty good idea of who has a chance to be moved. But it also, you have two sides that need to feel comfortable with it and make a match. It still goes back to what our goal was going into this deadline. It was to acquire some bats and certainly additional talent to help the organizational long term. So I feel like we've accomplished that, feel really good about our return, and we'll now get back to just focusing on field and getting our guys better and get this to the finish line and move forward to the offseason.
Yeah, now that the focus shifts to what you just said, how do you go about evaluating Pedro over the next 2 months and in terms of the development and pushing toward next season and whether he might be here next year or not?
Yeah, I mean, it's been about getting players better on a daily basis. And you look at what Garrett has accomplished this year, and obviously the value that he's brought to the White Sox and to our game, and Eric Fetty and where we got him, from the KBO and what he's been able to accomplish at the major league level. Paul DeJong on a bounce back. Michael Kopech, where he was at the end of the year to where he is now, and being able we moved some of those players and for return that we reinvest within the organization. So I think that there's a lot to be said there, where Pedro and the staff have done a nice job putting those guys in position to show what they're capable of doing, and then allowed me to capitalize on that. So, but now with that being said, where we are now, we've got to go out there and continue to find ways to put these guys in position to have success, and that'll never change in terms of that being the priority.
Pedro said he addressed the team at the break about not wanting to set an all-time record for losses. Even while making these trades that are geared towards the long-term picture, do you have a similar concern, even just in terms of the atmosphere and create a lot of losing for players you're trying to develop and be part of your future? Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to have an environment that isn't advantageous for development, and that's part of the challenge for staff when you're not putting wins up there on a regular basis, but it's the players that remain in our clubhouse right now, this is they're major league players. They're here. There's going to be adversity along the way, whether it be wins or losses or mistakes or successes on the field. At the end of the day, you need to show up the next day and find a way to get better, and that's a message for the players. That's a message for our staff, and that's something that is just being a part of the major leagues.
Vargas spoke about his close relationship with Mike Tozar. How impactful was Mike's previous relationship with him in terms of picking a player to target?
Yeah, Mike spoke highly of him, and just having background on the character, the work ethic, his journey to where he is now was very helpful in the acquisition process. And I hope that it allows I think it allows the player to come in here and be comfortable. And it's not easy coming to a new organization and getting acclimated sometimes. So to have a familiar face, I think should be beneficial.
What are the just thumbnail on the two guys you picked up today? What you can talk about the two guys, the guy from Philly and Baltimore.
So the Baltimore return, we got a left-handed pitcher who's at the AAA level. He's a guy that we feel like it has a chance to help in a bullpen at some point. There were some metrics that we liked, and we were excited to get a chance at bringing him in the organization in exchange for Eloy. And then, in the Tanner Banks deal to get an offensive player, that's 19, left-handed, an infielder. We like the offensive profile, and felt like there was a really quality return on our part. I'm really, I've known Tanner for a while, and he's one that his journey has been an interesting one, and it was a bittersweet moment to say goodbye to him, but we felt like we found a player that was going to help us on the offensive side to line up with what our goal was going into this, and so that led to the decision. But all things considered, you look back at the work that was accomplished here at the deadline, and feel very excited about the group that we have, and I feel like we're taking a step forward in the right direction.
When you talk about the acquisitions and the development, what does that say for 2025 season? Where do you project these players in this team to be on the field?
Well, every player's path to the big leagues is different, and we spoke about the age of some of the players that we acquired, and there's going to be time for them to mature, both as players and people as they prepare to be at the major league level. We're not going to rush that, but we just felt like it was a chance to balance out our organization in terms of the pitching and hitting. To get Miguel Vargas, to be able to plug him into the lineup tonight, we feel like is a positive. We like his offensive profile. He's going to help out this lineup. We feel like he's going to be a strong producer for the White Sox for a long time.
Just a free agent as part of the plans for 2025?
We haven't gotten into that quite yet. I mean, it's really just been about the trade deadline, and then we'll focus on this game tonight.
Just to be clear, clear the deck of this news, because you're in the middle of a long move. So is Pedro, for all intent and purposes, safe for the next couple months?
We just wrapped up the deadline.
Okay, I just know.
Just wrapped up the deadline, and just wanted to focus on that, and then we'll get through tonight and once again kind of debrief and look through the players that we acquired, and we move forward from there.
Are Tanner and Eloy gone already, or are they still here?
I believe they're still here, but I don't know if they just left the building. It's possible.
Thank you, Chris.
We all silly like the mayor.